Hey everyone! Hope you're having an amazing day. It's Code Karen. Welcome to r/relationships, where we have one incredible story with comments and an update. If you are new to this channel, a sub would be great. Tap that notification bell. Let's jump right in. My fiancé slept with my sister. I am heartbroken and devastated. Will I ever be able to move on? Hi Reddit. I'm posting here in the hope that someone can give me some advice, share their experiences. I don't know. I'm just completely at a loss. I feel like my heart has been ripped out. My fiancé, let's call him Jake, and I have been together for 7 years. I don't know a life without him. I met him at my university. We stayed together past graduation and moved into an apartment together. He proposed last spring, and we were set to wed this summer. My sister, let's call her Sarah, is an extremely volatile person. Growing up, I doted on her completely, but she had a ton of personal issues that made our home life turbulent. Her childhood was very different from mine. My parents had very little money, they were on the brink of a divorce, and my dad was physically violent on a number of occasions. While things improved drastically in the years after I was born, Sarah has an abundance of problems that stem back to this time. My parents feel a lot of guilt about Sarah's upbringing and used to let her get away with some shocking behavior. Sarah had the same boyfriend for as long as I can remember. They dated from when they were 16, and their relationship was toxic. They habitually broke up and got back together. When they were good, they were crazy in love, but more often than not, she would have these insane arguments, sometimes physical, with him, then take out her frustration on me and my parents. It was like her boyfriend was a drug to her, and she was emotionally tethered to him and didn't know how to have a life outside their relationship. 2 months ago, Sarah's boyfriend called things off for good. I don't know what gave, but after nearly a decade together, he finally had enough. He booked a one-way ticket to another state, changed his number, deleted all social media profiles, and essentially disappeared from Sarah's life. To this day, she still won't explain what caused this, but it was long overdue. To say Sarah was devastated is an understatement. She moved out of their apartment and in with my parents. I would visit her most days after work. Her behavior would go from explosive rage to an almost catatonic silence. At one point, we were all extremely worried she might seriously harm herself and got her an appointment to see a therapist, something I had suggested for years. Of course, she backed out days before her appointment, and there was nothing we could do about that. She is, after all, a grown woman. Fast forward to 2 days ago. I went to visit Sarah to check in on her and try to cheer her up. She immediately exploded, screaming at me, throwing her pillows across the room, crying uncontrollably. She told me life was unfair, that I had everything, and she was left alone to rot. She said that everything wrong in her life was because she was a bad person. She hurt her boyfriend, she drove him away, she ruined our family, she slept with Jake. Say what? At the mention of Jake's name, my heart started to race, and I had a hard time catching my breath. I initially thought I misheard her, but then she said it again. It was like she had poured a bucket of ice water over me. I quickly left, just trying to process what I had just heard. When I got home, Jake was there watching TV. It came out of my mouth the second I saw him, and I could see in his eyes. It was true. He broke down and told me it had happened 3 years ago. Sarah had a blazing argument with her boyfriend and drove to our apartment looking for me, but found Jake instead. I was at my parents' at the time, and Jake attempted to calm Sarah. He comforted her while she sobbed in his arms, and one thing led to another. They had sex. I was numb. I packed an overnight bag while he followed me from room to room, pleading with me to stay, and admitted that it was the worst mistake of his life, and that he still had no idea how it happened. He felt unbelievably guilty the second it was over, and at times, it feels like what happened wasn't even real. I left him in the doorway, begging me not to leave. I checked into a hotel and turned my phone off. I don't know what to do. Who to tell? Where to begin? I feel sick, like this is a bad dream. My heart feels like it's been ripped into a million pieces. For all of Sarah's faults, I love her more than anything. Sarah and Jake are the two people who mean more to me than anything in the world. How do I move on from this? I feel like I'm in a bubble. I shut out the outside world. All I do is cry and sleep in this room. Someone please help me make sense of this. Let's head to the comments. Serafina says, "If it were me, I'd be done with both of them. Your sister betrayed you big time, and she lived without the consequences for too long. I'd cut myself off from her. Delete her phone number. Delete her from social media. Don't answer her phone calls. Don't hang out with her. Don't confide in her, and don't listen to her troubles. Your boyfriend slept with your sister and then hid it for 3 years. It's not all your sister's fault, even though you may be inclined to feel that way since she is so dramatic. There is no, it just happened. He feels guilty about it, but it doesn't matter. He not only cheated on you, but he cheated on you with the worst person he could cheat on you with, your sister." Of Mice and Modems says, "First, you did nothing wrong and couldn't have stopped any of this from happening. You can't control what others do. Second, I think both of these relationships are unsalvageable. Your sister is a mess and an overall spoiled person. She's selfish, and regardless of what you feel about her, it's all about her 24/7. She has no respect for you. As for your significant other, he's likely very sorry that you found out about this. He's just as responsible as she is. It's one thing to have sex with someone outside of your relationship, but to do so with your significant other's own sister is appalling. I suggest you cut them both out and move on with your life. Don't associate yourself with a-holes." Cerulean Silverwolf says, "Your sister is abusive with a capital A. She is as toxic to you as her boyfriend was to her. As for you and your boyfriend, I think it's poisoned your relationship forever. She's twisting your life like a black hole. I've been there. I know. Trust me, it'll get better. Use this anger productively and go forward without either of them." Zombies and Pandas Oh My says, "Dump him and move out. Cut contact with your sister and cool contact with your enabling parents. Tell them what happened, but I bet they aren't going to stand up for you, or the most they'll do is say, 'We don't want to take sides.' Look, you love your sister, but she's a crappy person, and she's not going to stop being a crappy person until she gets therapy, and the people around her stop justifying and enabling her crappy behavior. Her boyfriend finally had enough. Now, it's your turn. As for you, focus on you and put yourself first. Once you realize that you can love your sister, but not like her or have to put up with her behavior, it'll be liberating and freeing for you. One more thing. If Jake honestly felt guilty, he would have come clean ASAP instead of only admitting it when you found out." Update. Hi everyone. It has only been a day or so since I made my post, but it feels like I'd been in that hotel room for weeks. My parents were desperately worried. This is the longest I had ever gone without contact, and had even contemplated calling the police if I failed to contact them by this evening. My mom told me that Sarah called her after I left and was saying things about hurting herself, so she rushed over. She drove Sarah to the hospital, where I understand she underwent some sort of assessment and was kept overnight. She has, incredibly, agreed to undergo treatment for whatever it is that is wrong with her. My mom spoke to me at length for the first time in my life about the hardships that had undergone during Sarah's childhood. I am unwilling to go into detail and am still in shock about some of the things I heard. Sarah had long surpassed the age where she can blame her childhood for her behavior, but my mom admitted through tears that not sending her to therapy at an early age was the biggest regret of her life so far. I asked my mom if she knew what happened, and she admitted that she had known about this since Sarah's ex left 2 months ago. So, she did know. At this point, I had to struggle not to hang up, and I suddenly felt myself going back into that dark place, but she begged me to listen. After Sarah's ex left, she told my mom exactly what happened between her and Jake. It was not the reason for her ex's departure, although he did know about it. Now, here's where the real truth comes out. I asked my mom if she knew all the details. She was reluctant to tell me anything, stating that it was, quote, in the past. But I told her I will not step foot in the house until I know everything. She told me that a few months before my sister and my fiancé slept together, they had kissed at my dad's 60th birthday party. It was a large family gathering with a lot of alcohol involved. I remember Jake getting very drunk with my cousins. Sarah had a crying tantrum prior to arriving due to an argument with her ex, and he refused to come to the party. At some point during the night, Jake asked her if she was okay and hugged her, and once again, one thing led to another, and they shared a kiss in the kitchen. Sarah told my mom that they were both immediately remorseful and vowed never to speak of it again. But Sarah deliberately sought him out the night they slept together, knowing he was unlikely to turn her down. She openly admitted she slept with Jake to get back at her ex, who had cheated on her during one of their many infamous breaks. At this point, I had heard enough. We spoke on the phone for over 2 hours, and I felt mentally drained and physically sick. Any hope I had of salvaging my relationship with Jake is completely gone. This relationship is forever tainted by all the betrayals. It's worth noting, he has made absolutely no attempt to contact me other than a single text stating, "I'm sorry, take as long as you need." Ha! As if it's inevitable I will come back to him. Things are still up in the air. I feel my relationship with my mom has been rocked by these revelations. I don't know what's going to become of Sarah. I guess there's nothing else to do now except wait and see how things unfold. I am rocked by all this and heartbroken and have no idea what to do next. The only saving grace is that Sarah has agreed to therapy and will not be in my life for the foreseeable future. The last comment is from .NB. Nobody can tell you what to do now, whether to forgive or not. That's your decision. I think there are some occasions where you simply love a person more than you hate what they did. And if the person you love is willing to put in the work to slowly earn back trust, then it doesn't have to be a deal breaker. Volatile people with psychological issues have a particular kind of energy that can sometimes be very alluring. I don't envy your fiancé's position. Your sister is very manipulative and your fiancé is weak. But I'm not making any excuses for him. It must feel so terrible. But please don't think your relationship with Jake meant nothing. If you decide to break it off with him, that's perfectly sensible and reasonable. But try not to hate him. And your sister. Geez, does she sound like a piece of work. Hey Code Karen community, what would you do in this situation? I'd love to hear your comments. See you in the next story.